Oh.
Okay, we're back already.
Oh, gee whiz.
Are we back? Yeah, we're back. Sorry about that. It was a little bit quicker than we had anticipated.
Well, it adds to the excitement of the moment. John, where is that box?
The box
Oh,
is
it's right over there off
here.
stage, right off to the side there.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about the unit itself for a minute.
Okay.
This unit was invented by a gentleman in Canada.
His
really
name
nice
is?
guy. His name is Michel. I don't know his last name. Do you?
Not off the top of my head, but a nice guy.
But anyway, really nice guy. We've been doing business with him since 1986. Mm-hmm. We've been selling the modulus unit. And the modulus unit comes into play when you have a cabinet shop, you're going to be working with melamine or double-sided laminates, and you can't afford to get into a nice big sliding scoring saw. And what a scoring saw actually is a small blade like this is upcutting from the bottom of the work, so it's cutting into the work chip-free, and the top blade is cutting into the top of the work chip-free, and the scoring blade is cutting just a little bit wider than your main blade cutting through. So when the main blade cuts down through, you don't get any chipping on the bottom side of the board.
So it's really critical. What makes this whole thing work is these blades have to really be perfectly in line with each other.
Absolutely.
So on a large piece of equipment, you might say, well, that's probably not hard to do because you have castings that are made and self-aligning to a degree or easily aligned, mm-hmm. and you have this big machine that is controlled in making that process. What Michel has done is he's actually made a very simple system. I'm glad you can't hear that. A very simple system where, again, you have a cast body, and you have... I have to tell you that John...
That's not my stomach growling.
John got himself a dog.
This is Bear.
He went and got himself a dog.
Come here, Bear.
And Bear's essentially a chicken.
Oh, come on. You're a chicken, aren't you? Yeah.
He probably heard a caterpillar outside, and that
right.
really stressed him out.
Okay.
But what this blade does is, again, this is the larger blade that cuts down from on top, and this
right.
is always a triple chip blade.
Right.
So it gives an extremely smooth cut. These two blades cut from the bottom side just a slightly wider channel, right. which allows the larger blade to pass cleanly through the kerf
right.
of the bottom blades.
Now this blade here, on the first unit that Michel came out with, this blade was conical. So it was shaped like this, and a lot of you might have that particular saw. And what you would do is you would adjust as you adjusted the height of the blade, the conical blade would come up, and the higher it raised, the wider it would cut in the kerf. So what happened was you could adjust it, but if you had a large sheet that you were running through the saw by yourself, and it lifted a little bit, you can imagine that it would lift away from that conical shaped blade, and then you'd no longer have a scoring effect.
You'd really end up getting chipping out
exactly.
in the bottom.
So what he did was he redesigned the tool with a two-piece scoring saw blade here, which is actually just like the big scoring saws are, and it's shimmed so it's wider than the blade is. Mm-hmm. So you can cut deeper, set it deeper, and it'll still work just fine. So if your board lifts a little bit up and down, it'll be just fine.
And the great thing, again, about this is, of course, every saw is going to have a slightly different cutting attitude. It's just because every machine is slightly different. This is extremely easy to adjust as far as getting the pieces in line with each other. And I tell you, I was really surprised because I watched John align this one. And, I mean, he did an excellent job. And probably if we knew more about what we were doing, or your memory was better than than what it's been.
Since I actually ran one.
But once John actually really kind of it started to come back to him, he actually got everything lined up, and I would say probably it would have taken you maybe 3 minutes at the most.
Right.
And that was simply by adjusting it using this hex screw right here with this locking nut to control it, and you could actually bring this right here. I'm sorry, it was this one right here. Right. But with that, you were able to move this in and out.
Forth, exactly.
And then I guess you would probably also perhaps maybe move this one in and out to keep it aligned with that.
Well, you don't really have to. There's enough play in there, I think.
Okay.
Unless you got it way out of line. Now, one thing that you have to understand is that when you purchase one of these units, it takes about an hour to set it up the first time, no matter what the saw is. Everything has its, I don't want to say little quirks, but you have to get the bracket mounted right to accept this, because once you mount the bracket on the saw, this blade goes on and off with the arbor nut like a 10-inch table saw blade does. So the reason that it's so easy is that if you're cutting up two-sided material, you want to use this. If you're cutting up one side, take it off and put another blade on it. There's no point in dulling this out. Now, a lot of people will say, well, you know, I can get a high AT blade for around $150 that is guaranteed to cut melamine two sides chip-free. Well, you can, and there's a couple of people out there that manufacture them. And the problem is that they cut chip-free until they get to dull. And as soon as they start to dull, which is very quickly, then they start to chip out in the bottom. And in order to maintain that chip-free cut, you have to send it back to the manufacturer, wait for it to be out, and then come back. Where this, you can actually cut with this dull. Not that I'm recommending that you cut with a dull blade, but when I had my shop up in New York, we used to cut up shelving, and I use this example all the time, so you probably read it in my catalog or heard it somewhere else, but we used to cut up shelving for a video store, and we would cut up hundreds and hundreds of shelves. But with this scoring saw attachment, we could cut up a full pallet of 4x8 sheets, which was like 34 boards, into 6-inch wide strips, chip-free right to the end. Now, it was dull. We were pushing by the end, but it was still chip-free because this is cutting up, and this one's cutting up, so even though they're dull, they're still cutting chip-free. But once you get this little bracket mounted on your saw, you can't really see it. It's going to be difficult to get a camera in here, but there's a bracket that mounts where your splitter guard goes.
Okay,
that's actually the bracket right there.
Now, one of the things also I just want to reiterate for a moment is remember, as far as any blade's concerned, most melamine and some double-sided laminates are all on particle board. And remember, particle board doesn't contain just wood, like a lot of people think that.
Yep.
I mean, there can
Stones
be metal, rocks.
Yep.
I mean, whatever happens to get into the mix, as well as the glues they use. So anytime you get into particle boards or engineered woods like that, they are extremely hard on saw blades. And another thing to bear in mind is when you run a blade all the way down to it's as dull as what John was talking about, sharpening the blade is a very difficult task.
Yes, it is.
And you probably really may have ruined the blade as far as it doing its job well.
But we got the job done.
Yeah, you got the job done. But the minute you find the blade is having to work, you really want to stop using it, because what happens is you'll take the teeth. Any blade to be sharpened is actually intended only to be ground on the face of the carbide.
That's correct.
Once you run a blade so much that you have rounded over these edges, then to get the cutting edges back, a grinder will have to grind the top, sides, and the face. And once he's done that, he's actually distorted your blade. And if you have an expensive blade, probably ruined it. Mm-hmm. But it's not him that's doing it. It's you've made the grinder do that. Now, what John was telling you about the bracket is this bracket would go ahead. This mounts into your saw like this. There are two rods that extend out the back. This actually mounts onto the back where your splitter is. And
you know that splitter guard that we all use?
Everybody uses that. That's why everybody's going, what's that? It's the thing you take off when you first buy the saw.
Right. You throw it away. You're hanging on the shelf. It's got the guard on it that goes over the blade.
That everybody hates. But this goes up, and this accepts the two bars that travel right between these. And that's what actually gives the blade its tilt as it comes up.
That's right.
So it guides it and protects it. So
now, if we can get a close-up here for just a minute, we'd like to focus in right about where my finger is, okay? And as you're going to be able to see, as we raise the blade up, let me get my glasses on here so I can actually see it happen. Right here, the scoring blade is now just coming through.
Do you want to show them? Show them.
Okay, the scoring blade is here, and your main blade is here. And what this is doing is, as the blade comes up, this raises, but then because of the bracket, it starts to go like this. So we get our height adjustment here by using the same height adjustment as the main blade. So that can run up, you can run it deep, you can run it shallow. And now Ken had said earlier that this is a little bit wider than the main blade, so when this one cuts down in, it's not going to be cutting the particles out. So we'll go ahead and...
I'm just going to get out of your way because
yeah,
I want
why
to
don't you
stand
stand
behind
out of the
cut.
way. I'm going to put my goggles on. Now at that point, you can't hear it, but the scoring saw blade has already made contact.
Boy, it's really running well, though.
Okay, now,
Was that a push stick you made?
without a push stick, I know.
Well, I thought
Don't
this
do
was your
at
push
home.
stick right there.
Yeah, I was cutting a push stick, folks. Okay, so what you've got is you've got a nice clean cut on the top, and you've got a nice clean cut on the bottom. Okay, so it's chip-free both sides, which is very important. And you can do this all day long. I mean, there's nothing to it. Now, to change blades, would you just go ahead and unplug me real quick?
Sure.
Now, I said that this goes on and off as quickly as a 10-inch saw, and I just wanted to point that back out, and my
Wrench is over
wrench
there.
is where?
Now, one of the things I want to, is it right up there on the, right up over there on the,
No, it's not.
one of the things I wanted to point out was how quiet this thing runs. Isn't it right over there, John?
Yep.
How quietly this runs. I was amazed how quiet that cut was.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our blade off, and this is the way I do it, but we're just going to break that free like that.
And again, you really, and most of you guys know this, but it never hurts pointing out, you never really want to over tighten that nut.
Right.
It's a reverse thread, so it's not going anywhere.
Now we're going to lower this down, and there's a bracket in here that I'm just going to flip it forward, and then the unit's now going to be free. I'm going to raise this up all the way and take it off. Simple as that. So you're just going to drop it back in. You're going to lower it all the way down.
You want me to raise your bracket for you?
No, well, yeah, you can go ahead and raise it. Go ahead.
Just because my hand's back there. You got to let me get my hands in there.
Yep. You flip the bracket over. There's a little spring-mounted bracket that it goes into, which Ken had pointed out earlier. And we're just going to drop that in like that. And that's it. You're back on. You put your arbor nut on, drop this on, and you're ready to go. I mean, it's just literally, you know, just a couple of minutes to set it up.
Now, another thing that has really impressed me about these saws, and again, it's not a tool that I've ever really used or probably really would have much purpose for using, being that I've come from the solid surface into the industry. But Michel, when he designed this, actually designed it so every part on it is replaceable.
Right.
Really about the only thing I don't think that you can get is just this one cast bracket.
Oh, you can get that as well.
Oh, you can?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so
Yep.
you could actually build this like Frankenstein one part at a time if
And
you
it would
wanted
cost
to.
you $1,500.
Yeah, but the point...
And the blades are removable, and you can sharpen them. You can send them out for sharpening. Any blade sharpener can handle it. And then you can buy new sets of blades to put on as well.
That's what the little clip rings are here for, those little snap rings?
No, actually, it's a... well, yeah, maybe it is. It's kind of weird how it pops off, but you have to loosen this, and then the whole thing comes apart, and the blade comes right out.
Okay, so there
But
you go.
It's very easy.
But I know the blade sets, these blades come in sets that you can go ahead and you can order.
Right.
So either the old style or this is the new style right here, the two blade set, the three blade set. But these are easily attainable. The belt, which is probably the most common wear item, again, I know is carried as a stock item. So I mean, it's a fabulous tool.
Yep.
Easy to maintain and take care of. Great life. I know we talk to guys regularly that tell me they've had these for 10, 12, 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
And they absolutely love them.
And if you do have the old style, there is a conversion kit to go from the conical shaped blade to the two-piece blade that costs a little bit more than just the blade, but it comes with everything you need, the pulleys and all that stuff, to set it up and get it running.
Yeah, so again, just a fantastic tool. And again, really the tool of the year back a few years ago.
Absolutely. Still is.
Yeah. Again, if you're into that cutting melamine, into cutting double-sided veneers, and it's something you need, it's really a tool you've really got to take a serious look at. So
That's it. So.
But anyway, so we're thrilled we got a chance to show you that, and finally get that out there. And Michelle, thank you very much for you letting us have it to show on the show tonight. Want to remind everybody that this week is the Solid Surface Show in Las Vegas.
Right.
We will be there.
For new stuff.
Yep, we're going to have all kinds of cool stuff
Yep,
there.
maybe we'll take the video camera and do some videoing while we're there.
We tried to do that in Germany.
Yeah.
No, it is. It's going to be a fantastic show. We're excited. Hopefully, if you can get there, we'd love to see you and get to meet you and just talk with you about some of the stuff we see on the show here.
Yep. That's it. We all ready to?
You're a man of many words.
Bye-bye. New catalog.
Oh, we got a new. Well, no, we already said we got a new catalog out. Yep.
Yeah, they mentioned it.
Oh, you know what's neat about the new catalog?